This music is for your listening pleasure. This music is for your listening pleasure. This music is for your listening pleasure. No AI was used in the making of this intro.
What's going on? And so if we, like, for example, when people do like you said, like the psychic surgery, or they do those things, it's from a very let's figure this out as a human way. It's not like getting to the bottom of it, as in like finding out how it's different for everybody, if that makes sense. So like every single thing is going to be unique. Even like the actual person, what's happening to that one person is going to be unique in their own world inside. And then on top of it, you know what I mean? So when you can tell that is happening, when if we try to apply it to everyone and make it into a thing that everyone has, like there are some mechanics involved where you can be like, oh, this is how it works. But even that, if we're saying that it's always the same, it's not. So for me, I don't see it as each person has a different thing going on. So I think one of the things that I almost talked about when we were talking about it in the other podcast, um I forgot to like go into detail, but basically I call it as a nickname because I don't think karma is what people say karma is. I call it karma stories. And so in the infinite mechanics, the way like everything has been made, like each step is like a different origin, or a different, depending on how people are looking at it, what they went through and continue to go through, it's translated as a human, right? So as when you're a human, it's translating into your life. So that comes with baggage, because whatever's going on in that storyline is going to be going on in you as a human. And so in your parallel lives, which are other humans, usually there's other things going on too, but let's say it's like someone in Victorian times or something like that, the two of you would be a match and like kind of meet up, and people would call this past life regression, but I call it parallel life matches. And so either, it doesn't matter if you're conscious of it or not, you will, if you overcome something in that same storyline that you are connected to, you both will get help all of a sudden. Like the right thing is going to come through, or you might have to go through a struggle or something like that, that helps you learn how to do that thing that the other version of you did. So for example, when someone comes to one of those psychic surgery people and they're like, help, they're seeing from the perspective, like I said, from a human perspective of how they've been trained and how people have told them, only that layer of, let me get rid of an entity, let me give you a shower, like, you know, when we take a shower and we take, you know, dirty things off us or whatever. It's that kind of mentality. It doesn't mean that that's wrong and we need to throw that away. It's just that we need to honor that layer and understand there's other layers going on and treat it as the situation is. So for me, I'm saying that because mine's weird because of what my storyline in the infinite mechanics is of what I'm a part of. I don't know everything, because you won't ever know everything, but I know quite a bit. So when it comes up, I can see that when I'm around people, the interactions I have with people are not just like interactions I have with people or types of people. It's what they're streaming as well. So if they're not even streaming from their origin, like they've like not as much as potent, and they've been like when people say that someone has negative energy, it's actually cut up energy, and they are not able to hold themselves together. So, you know, when people say high vibrational and low vibrational, it's actually, if you are working together in all the parts of you, and even though they were cut because of trauma, you now embrace them as a part of you, like you're a part of the same table. When you don't do that, which is basically every single person right now, you let those parts out and they get, you know, all these weird things happen and stuff like that. So when you're having that situation, like let's say you meet a person and that person is not pulling from their infinite origin, they're just taking what's already there and kind of recycling it, which is almost everybody right now. That person's interaction with you and the way they see you is going to be different than if you interact with someone who is like is doing that, which like I said, is kind of not happening. There's not there's no one really doing that. They're getting close. They want to, and you can feel the close of it, but it's like very rare. And so when people see those things, they're not going, like, for example, those people, they see it with the way that they know it. They don't see it from, like, for example, like if I were to, when I have a session and I see all the different beings around someone, I know that those beings are either parts of them, they are the parts that cut off, or if it's like a representation of something they're working on right now, that's a part of them from another place or whatever. I can tell the difference because I've looked at that with myself. So if we don't look like that, and that's like our job, and our job is to just look at it and go, that is this, that is that, we're like putting them in categories of something that's so vast. Now I'm going to get back to my attacks. So my attacks are the top three. There's three things going on. One is the collective of people in this dimension. The collective of people becomes its own thing, and it literally attacks me like white blood cells, like, you know, like when they attack like a foreign thing, because I'm not doing what the status quo is, and so it will just attack me. So that's one type, and it can come in all kinds of forms. It can come directly, it can come in through a person, like people, like I said, that are not working on those things, and they're just only like, you know, watching the same like superhero movies over and over again, that kind of vibe. Like they have that mentality, and so every time their mentality is like that for everything, including food. They're going to be the perfect prey for that collective to come through them. It's kind of like the Matrix thing with that guy. What's those weird Agent Smiths kind of thing? It's that kind of mentality.
And when
so
you say like, when you say collective, who are you talking about when you say collective?
Everyone in this dimension.
So
everyone in this dimension.
What we would perceive as like, you know, a negative like group of entities, or like
it's what we've created. I'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
But what we've created, and it comes together and collects all of our thought forms. So like if everyone's watching the same TV shows and everyone's watching the news and having the same reaction and saying that news, or on TikTok, they're like, oh, this is how it is, this is how it is, that's how it is. Those are voting every time. So what you say, think, and do matter. Also with my partner and I, we've been doing this, we're like both doing it, but like I've like pulled it through for us to do it. But basically when you see the news, you undress the news and you get it to the core of it, which, like, for example, if you see like what's happening, most of it's about scarcity mindset. So you kind of like undress it, you get to scarcity mindset, and then you go to the next stage and you say, okay, how am I doing scarcity mindset in my life that I can start working on? And then when you start, and it doesn't mean you have to do anything, you just have to think that way, and you do a mindset change. So you start being like, oh, this one thing, I was having a scarcity mindset. I just noticed that. That's just the same as you stopping having a scarcity mindset. It's the same thing. So when you do that, you don't let that vote go into the collective. But the people who don't do that and they just watch the news and they're like, oh, Trump is being gross. Oh, this is blah, blah, blah. They're just, it's I call it the reality wars. There's a reality war because there's infinite realities, and people call them timelines. They're not timelines, they're realities.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. I agree.
So
everybody says, well, that's real. Well, your version of real is different than what the person next to you is.
Remember when I talked about the three reality styles, but there's infinite of those. So there's the internal realities, the internal external realities, and the external realities. So when you work through those, like if you look at all those styles of realities, they all kind of filter into each other. And so there's a collective, that external reality we can't touch. That's what the accumulation of the dimension is. So that in itself will attack me. It'll come in all kinds of forms. And like I said,
will it just be like a thought, like you'll hear, or you'll feel it more?
It's complex. It will be orchestrated. So like if I plan something, it will get sabotaged. Like lots of stuff that's like, I don't want it to happen and stuff. And sometimes it's used, and that's what I'm going to talk about now. So now there's also what I've nicknamed them.
Hold on, I have to stop you. I'm sorry, I have to stop you because I also have reasoning for, you know, I know when a string of bad things happens in my life, there's it's happening for a reason.
Yes.
But my perception of it is completely different than what yours is. My perception of it is that it's the universe stepping in and redirecting me.
Yeah, but that's something different. This is true attacks. And I'm not going into detail because they're really out of hand. And they're like, a lot of people would like just, it's not great. It's like kind of personal. So I don't do, but what you're talking about is correct. That is what that is. It's not an attack.
Do you think like I don't want to say normal people, but do you think people who are unaware of these types of things experience these attacks?
Yes.
And they're unaware of that's what it is?
Yes, and they get worse in quotes because you're aware. That's it. That's the only difference. They're the same
when you're
thing.
aware, they're worse.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. I would agree things are worse when you're aware of them. Absolutely.
Because like I said, yeah, especially since I know some of these energy, I can see them and I know what's going on. And so for me, I don't know, it's when you see it like I said, it makes it worse. Like there's something like physical that happened. I'll talk about those. There's like a physical thing that happened where I got like hit from like a lamppost. Like it was really bad. There's some things like that, and I'm angry because I know who they are as well. So it's like it makes me mad, and so it's kind of like it gets worse because of that as well, because part of it is to make you mad, if that makes sense, and to discourage you. So it's like it gets worse because you start to know who they are, who meaning like what, like other version of you, how they know you, if that makes sense. Like you're not just
it does. Yeah, I'm
part
following.
of a team. And so I'm like frustrated, and they like that I'm frustrated because it's like it's kind of like not supposed to be that way, if that makes sense. Like the access I have is not a typical human access. So like when I can see who that is, it's like the bigger version of me, like one of the really big ones that are like not physical or tangible or whatever. And I'm like able to pull that part of me and use that knowledge to do something. They don't want that. And so they get really mad because it can also interfere with other people as well. So
in your life, other people in your life.
No, like other people, like if I interact with people like on a live or, random people, it can interfere with them because I have so much access to these things for people that it can actually backfire and not like backfire for that person. And so sometimes their energies get angry because they don't want to be like blah blah. If that I don't know how to explain it. It's like,
so does it come out negatively on you from that person in the live? Is that like, do they suddenly turn on you, or do you get like a negative response from them?
Kind of. It's
okay.
It's like I said, it's complex, and it's extremely personal in the sense that I know exactly, like if I told someone, they'd be like, oh, whatever, and they'd have, but I know like it's like extremely personal and set up, like it's like there's no way that you could like
no, when
for you, it's like what do you call it, detail and made for you.
Yeah.
And you can, and because I can see all the steps and all the layers of it, I can't deny it. Whereas like if I wasn't aware of it, I could just like go brush it off and be like, oh, people are just angry. Like I can see the difference between it being just someone having a problem with my energy, because that also happens where they don't have a problem with me. It's that when I interact with people, I can make people feel really calm and like cozy, or I can make people feel like I'm ripping their skin off and they can see everything too much and they're like, oh my god. So like I know when that happens, that has happened since I was a kid, so I know that like that's normal, that I know the difference between the two. I can see how people are reacting. But like this specific thing is like, it's very specific, and it's like it's main this type of attack is mainly to discourage. It's to make me go back to the fold, go back to do this, go back to do that, do something that humans have already made. Do not create your own thing. They don't want you to do that. Like they meaning like our collective right now. So it was funny because I went through this phase where I was like, these people were yelling at me and doing all these things, and I had them doing that, but at the same time I'm like, and I would say on the live, I'm like, you guys don't even realize I'm literally fighting for you and you're like beating me up. And I said, and I know that why you are. I know in detail why you are and everything, but it still doesn't change the fact that I'm getting beat up. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm here to support you and stuff like that. So it was like out of hand, and they got so like they didn't even know what was happening. This girl flipped. She in the live, she went from being like, I don't know, she was just being a normal person, and then she, like, normal meaning like a typical live kind of interaction, to like crazy. Like, she got basically the whole collective possessed her, and she was just out of hand. And it was weird because you look at her page, and she was like not that type, and I was like, oh my god. And it was because of like what was going on. So anyway, so the reason why that style happens, and it's specifically me because of what I'm doing, like I said, this is, if someone does have this, it's going to be completely different. I have this because what I'm doing is not innovation within something that exists in humanity. It is something that came completely from me. Like, there's no add-ons or anything. And so that is what, yeah. And if this collective actually, if everybody was like changing that and they were welcoming it, this wouldn't happen as much. And to be honest, ever since March, it got better. I can feel that it's not as intense. It was February, it was like cranked up to the max, and I was dying. but March was okay. Like, it's doable, it's manageable. So that's one. The next one I'm going to talk about is I'd say these are like when I talked about, I think we talked about it in the last time, about, I nickname them freelance aliens and freelance beings that basically work with that collective that we create. So they rearrange it and they make the reality what it is. So nature just does that always, but they keep it very like structured and supportive. So that's like kind of what they do. Like, the nature ones are not having to do with this at all. There's no attacks with nature. But this part, which I'd say and they would be aliens if they come from another universe like ours, that's like the toroidal one, but it's a different one, but it's the same style of universe. And those are what people think aliens. There's other things that people
I don't actually believe in aliens in the sense of what we think an alien is.
Well, because they think it's from a planet, but it's not that.
And like even the stars aren't alien to us because we can see them. Like, even what comes from the stars, like,
what people think.
Right. So I have trouble with the word alien now because of what I learned about.
Yeah. So I recommend trying to embrace it in a way that makes sense to you, because then that way you can kind of work with showing how it's like not like it isn't what people think. There's way more. I think that's what it is. There's so much room for exploration, and people just calling something alien is weird, and they already have complications. They say extraterrestrial and interdimensional, and they're so confused.
And
I'm like, stop those words.
A little green guy is not going to come walking out of anywhere saving us. Everybody thinks aliens are going to come and save us.
Saving thing comes from like people.
Do you remember? Did you hear how the vice president called aliens demons?
I think I saw someone like repost something like that, but I was like, those kind of things bother me. I'm like, oh my god, because remember, it's the thing.
I think aliens are closer to demons than they are aliens. Like, our idea of what aliens are, because a demon is just an entity, and there are entities everywhere. So like,
I mean, it depends because people, like I said, it depends on what they're talking about. If they're talking about UFO stuff, if they're talking about those little ball things, like, it really depends on what the person's talking about. That will depend. If they're talking about things coming and doing gross stuff like demons, that's going to be the reptilian stuff, which I'll talk about in a second. But it's a whole different story, which I will say the story because people don't talk about this, and it's important. But anyway, so these freelance things, they are literally here, like the Galactic Federation stuff and stuff like that. They are literally here to work on the stuff that we do. So that stuff that's attacking me, they work to do that. Some of them are corrupt. Some of them are weird, and they do creepy things, and they take advantage of not the people, but they take advantage of that system. So they will do weird stuff and make fake things, and then they'll make it real again, and then they'll put it in, they'll do all kinds of weird stuff. So there's like a mix of random stuff going on, and there's different versions. There's like so many different versions going on. Like for people to like say different races and stuff, I don't know why they're doing that. Like I get naming things because it helps stuff, but to say that they're
labels.
yeah, but if it's okay, because if you name it, but you have to do it intentionally and not just keep repeating it, because they're saying they're races, and that's just out of hand, and it has nothing to do with anything.
Are you saying racist with an ST, or race is?
Race.
Okay, so more than one race.
Yeah, so it's
like
not
the different races, African American, Asian,
yeah, exactly. That needs to be
okay.
garbage, because that is just about expression of like different things. It has nothing. It's races aren't that we made that up. It's not a thing. It's just those are expressions to show about what the stuff is connected to. Like that's it. But it has nothing to do. Doesn't mean that you're not connected to other things. It just means that it shows you some clues and hints of stuff. That's all it means. It doesn't mean like, so that's why when people say like they need to start saying that angels are a race and all that, you don't need to do that. You can call them things. It's okay because you need to. Otherwise, how are we going to, we're humans. We have to make meaning on things. That's okay. But
I've really learned that. I've really learned that we do have to make meaning on things.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we do.
Yeah. I like it's like cemented itself into my existence like recently. Because I was given information that didn't have a label, and I had trouble placing it. I had trouble using it in any way.
Yeah.
And I'm still sitting here with no words about it because I don't have a label.
Yeah, you don't have to though.
Right.
That's the good part news is so you have two the main things about being a human interface, because you're not even being, you have a human interface, you have access to a human interface. You either alchemize it and work on clarifying and adding to your inner world, or you make meaning, which means that eventually you're probably going to share it. So you're like, you know, translating it, making it into like, make it make sense in your life so that you don't have to, but it's like you could be just painting something or writing a book or whatever. It's like an external thing. And kind of like anchoring it into this universe or dimension, more dimension. So like, because it could be from like not this dimension and you're like bringing it to this dimension. So it's like you are bringing it with your unique human experience into the world. That's what the actual meaning making is. And so when people don't do the meaning making and they just use what other things are, they're not being a human. Like they're just not having a human interface. They're just, it's like going into Sims and playing Sims and making pizzas or something like that. You're not playing Sims, you're just making pizzas. And it doesn't make any sense because that's not what it's for. You can do that if you want, but it's like only making pizzas the whole time, every time you come into Sims. So it's like, that's kind of what's going on with people. They're just like repeating stuff that's already there. They're not bringing new things to the table. So we have like the ones that's the one that was messing me up the most, and like I said, it got better. I also, it has to do with my relationship. It'll always, and that's the thing too, is it has to do with your relationship always with yourself. So I unlocked a lot of big things with my actual body, and that helped with this. Because when when you get attacked, it usually attacks your body. So I will like, and it doesn't have to be like your physical body. It can be your like energetic kind of stuff. So like my heart is not physically racing, but it would race and it would feel like it's cracking open when people would like not hear me or see me, all those things that they would do with the attack stuff. And so it would just break open. And so then that was basically my body telling me like, we really need to go through this and like talk about this and like not ignore it and blah, blah, blah. And so once I've done that, like something special happened where I worked on that so much for so many years that now that, like I said, it's a combination of the collective changing how they're viewing things. A lot of people are like, there's new things happening mixed with me. So it's always going to be a mixture when it has to do with external things. Okay, so now we're going to go to the one with back to the alien type things. So there's not just that. There's also I think we're probably going to talk about the clone stuff too, but it's like I call them a fallen, and so there's like different kinds of fallen, and fallen means that um they are, it depends on what they are, but they are like they leave and like rip off of something that created something that was like a vessel. So like for example, I call them the Elion kind of little ball. And so they created in here, instead of becoming into this universe and breaking up, which is like the easiest normal way, they're from in here. So they can't break up on their own. And so they're limited on their creations. So there's a lot more I'm going to be talking about on my Patreon, because like I already talked about some stuff and now I'm going to do interviews for all of them because they all want to talk and they're driving me insane. So I have to do one at a time. I had to take a break because they were just
all
trying
the
to.
people that all your patrons.
No, the beings.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they do this a lot, and I'm like, and then no matter what I did, they were just going out of hand. So I took a break. I'm like, if you guys can't just wait your turn, I can't. Like they were sending me like little messages and things like that, and I'm like, I can't do this. This is out of hand. So I just like got into my art and just did art stuff. I'm like, until you guys can settle this, I'm not gonna do the interviews yet. And I bet my patrons are probably like, hey, where is it? Because I
So you
had
do
like
this on video. Do you do this live?
I did sometimes. I've done it, but no, I usually do this either with voice notes or I write it down. I do interviews with them. But I have
With
tons on
the
TikTok.
beings.
Yeah, I have tons
But
on TikTok. So when I say beings, I mean like I don't know, remember if you saw my video where
non-physical energies, right?
origins. I mean, some of them are physical in a weird way and some are not. It just
But when
it's
you
hard to
see,
explain.
like not your typical like solid object is what I'm saying.
They're basically, some people might know and think they're gods and some people don't know them. They're that stuff like that people have talked about. It's the infinite mechanics. So I'm talking to infinite mechanics
Right.
and they have intelligence. And so
Right. I agree. I agree with that.
so yeah, so some of them are the Titans, some of them are like, because the Titans are not happy with the way they've been portrayed. It's not like they're not happy about that, and that's why they're pushing the most. The other ones are chilled, like the Fallen are chilled. They actually got mad at me and they didn't want it to be out there. But the Titans, they're like, they really want me to do it ASAP. They've been bugging me for a year now,
An interview.
nonstop. Well, just about everything, because they want it to come through me, because like who else is going to do that? They said no one's ever asked them questions. And I'm like, I know, like they think that it's funny that I do that. So but I have tons on TikTok. I have tons, and then I made longer ones on my Patreon. I called it practicing with energies. So it helps people be able to see how that is, and they're still popular. Like I made them years ago, and people are still watching.
And this is a video that you make.
Those are videos that I made, yeah. So
Yeah.
I did that series so that people can feel and like for themselves. So I interview them and I ask them like what the humans should hear about them. And yeah, like it was even in the time when there was only 3 minutes on TikTok. So
Oh,
I
okay.
had to do like series and stuff like that. Like that's how long I was doing it. But now I'm doing it for just Patreon, in the sense that it's for a specific reason. So I gave the infinite mechanics. I did like drawings and stuff like that. And then now I'm interviewing what's in the infinite mechanics, how their perspective, because every part has a different perspective. So I see the whole thing. Because when usually in most of these storylines that they're telling me, usually I'm the one that is kind of like holding all of it, if that makes sense. So I can see everything, but that is still a different perspective than an individual one. So when I speak to all the little pieces, they all they have different ways of looking at it, which is always interesting for me. And I do this on my own when I give information. But I'm doing it now as a part of the stuff that I'm offering for people, because I want people to know that like this is what it is. I don't want it to be hidden. I don't like, I might seem like it's esoteric, but I don't want my stuff to be hidden. I want people to see that it exists and that there's it's not like I said, for example, what we're talking about now, the attacks and stuff. It's not just like we're getting attacked by these things and it's not fair. It's like if you look at this, you'll start to see that it's because they need just as much help as we do, but it's not, we don't have to help them, but you'll see in a second. So these fallen ones, I personally know them. Like, I've talked to a lot of them, and I don't appreciate when they do these kind of things. So this is what people would think. These is what people would think they're shapeshifters, and so they say this is very popular online right now with the shapeshifting thing, and people don't know what shapeshifting is. Shapeshifting is basically going through the realities and holding that space and pulling different realities into one vessel. And the reason why you can do that is they can do that, or I could apparently do that if everyone agrees to that in this universe, but apparently humans still are like freaked out and don't even know what it is. But if everyone knows, I can do it as a human because of who I am and the different layers. But anyway, so what happens is the way it feels, because I can do it when I'm not like being a human, like when I go to sleep, or if I'm like just like going somewhere, I can do it then. It feels like humans would see it as you jumping into different bodies that are like a part of you. So like you're this big being and you have all these little bodies inside and you jump into all of them, right? That's how a human would see it from their perspective of how we normally see things. But from the shifter's perspective, it feels like one side stays the same and this side flips, and you flip it and you go to another version of you, and then you go to another version of you. And so that's how it looks to them. So when people are saying there's fallen angels and celebrities and stuff, that's actually what's going on.
Is it the right side that switches?
Everyone's different. For me, it's left that switches.
I have theories about the right and left sides of the body and what happens.
Everyone's different. So everyone's different. So but mine is that. And
or it could be the left. I believe the ego lives on the left side, and the energies. The ego lives on the left side, and the soul energy lives on the right side, basically. Or
no. For me, I think directions are very personal, because even when they show me things, like they meaning my energies, when they show me visions and stuff, obviously those things have nothing to do with left and right. That's a message for me, like, all the things that humans are comfortable with. And so, like, for example, when I see the Ring of Infinity, the stuff that they tell me is all on the left, and I found out way later why it was on the left. Like, and then I had no idea. I was like, okay, I don't know why they were insistent on it being on the left. And this other story was an arc on the top, and then there was this other one that was in the middle, and then there's this, there's all these things happening. And so those locations are very important to me for another time, or now, or whenever, right? So I feel like you being important to you is a very important thing. It's not just that one thing. You wanting to know where things are located is important for your story. Does that make sense?
Well, no, it's what I feel, and
that's what I mean.
I feel all of the communication with my ego happen on the left side always, whether it comes from my heart or my brain, my mind. It's more like the left back side of the brain that the information comes from. And then when I work energy, it's my right frontal lobe that I use. It's where I direct my energy in and out of. So, like I used to manipulate energy in people's bodies. So I needed to know, it would help me to know where the energy source was coming from, or how I could manipulate it to make it stronger and more impactful. So and I based it off of what I felt internally, my own experience. I don't really wouldn't say it's important. If I got new information and that switched that theory, I'd be perfectly okay with adopting it, if it was logically, if it made sense to me. I've just been carrying certain theories along the way for so long, and it's nice to have somebody to bounce them off of, basically. To have like somebody like you, I can say, well, what do you think about this theory? Because I've held these theories for so long without any kind of person to talk to about them. So that's where I'm coming from with that when I stop you and ask you about that.
But what I meant actually is the concept of it is important, not like literally that part. It's the concept that you are very, you need to see it this way and have it like that. That in itself is the important part. That's what I mean. So the fact that you even do that, like for me, example, I'm like, woo, like I don't mind because it doesn't have anything to do with what I'm doing. So for you, that's what I mean, is it's like a message to you about what you actually do. Like it's to like, you know what I mean? Like I feel
Right.
like even the way we look, it's like everything about it, it's like they're all messages about what is like emanating from us, if that makes sense. Like it's all important. So it's not the actual thing that's important. It's like it's that why are you really like that is like a thing that needs to be done, blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I understand. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I
It's
was
just
processing.
I
I was
can't help it
processing.
but also I can't help it because this is what I do anyway. So I can see all these things that are actually important for your mapping of you. So like I'm like that's why I'm saying I can't help it. I
No,
know
no,
that
it's
that's
fine.
it's a
No, it's
part
fine.
important
I like to
piece.
understand how and why things happen, and like,
Yeah,
and I go
same.
down to the farthest down, the original root is where I go to,
Yeah, exactly.
um, and I write code too. I'm a developer, so I build things from nothing, from characters. I build
Yeah,
web pages based on characters, so I know how everything works, and where it comes from, the origin,
yeah,
or the source code,
yeah,
basically.
yeah.
So yeah, so that's why I'm
I
so
get you.
yeah. Yeah, so thank you for your input on that. So
Yeah.
what your input was, I'm just circling back here. uh your input was that you basically don't care, so you're not sure.
No, it's not that I don't care. It's not that it's that it doesn't need to be precise for me. There's things
Right,
that need to
right,
be
right, right,
for
right.
me. So it's not that I
It's
don't
not.
care. It's that
Right,
it doesn't
right,
need to be precise. So I don't even see it. I'm like, and
right.
then I will
Okay.
see it sometimes, and then it needs to be precise. But the fact that it needs to be precise, like a lot of the time, is a very big indication of something that is in your mapping that you can like put on your little map for like, finding out more about yourself. So it's like, it's just one of those things because it's like repetition like that is like I call it sacred repetition. It's like it's very important. Like obviously there's repetition when it's everything, any kind of repetition is always to get your attention for anything. It could be to get your attention with weird things that you think you're stuck in, but actually it's that parts of you you're ignoring. But like even
Yeah,
this
I
is
understand all
kind
that
of
kind of stuff.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's why.
Patterns and repetition. I understand how it's
Yeah,
used, why it's impactful, what it does. I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I
But that's
agree.
the one I'm always watching out for. So that would be if I was still doing like wondering about stuff, that I would definitely put that on my map, for example. I'm always looking for that specifically. But anyway, so yeah,
So
so
go back to shapeshifters, how
yeah,
they're
so
changing one
shapeshifters
side of
fallen.
themselves.
So
And it's
fallen means
interesting too that it's one side of them that shifts.
so that's
So
how
that
it's not that it's one side, it's that's how it feels. So that's like the impression of how it feels. It's not how it is, it's how it feels. So you know how like the perspective. So when I say feels, it's the perspective of being not in a human body. Like that's how it feels, not in a human body but having human interface. It's like it's the experience of it. So
so
I'm
so
trying to describe the experience of not being a human in a human interface, what it feels like when you're shifting. So those celebrities where people are like, oh my god, that's a shapeshifter, blah blah blah, that's how they would experience it, not the human but the shapeshifter that's shapeshifting into that human, not into but
do you
through
see the
that human.
fireworks going off behind me right now?
No.
I have experienced this feeling.
Yeah, you definitely
Uh,
have.
huh?
You definitely have.
Yeah, about 6 years ago. I've actually been living that feeling for about 6 years. About 6 years ago, I switched my consciousness, and I switched to my soul's energy. And when this happened, I had an awareness of the voice in my head being my ego. So I knew I was this energy and my ego was this energy. So when this happened, I remember looking at my hands and thinking to myself, I'm not moving my hands right now. I'm not the one that's moving these hands right now. And when I went through this, I lost like dexterity. I had to learn how to like move, and like showering and shaving, and I had to learn how to do everything over again. And I remember looking at my hands and saying to myself, these are not I ego, are you moving the hands? And the ego would say, yes, I'm moving the hands. That's the ego that's moving the hands. And the ego is the human half of us. So and it resonates that it would be a form of shape-shifting. I guess it would, but I feel like a lot of people are this way. They don't have awareness of it.
Yeah, so shape-shifting is realities, but the difference is that when people say shape-shifters and they're getting worried and they sense something weird's going on, it means that they're holding multiple of the realities in one. So that's where I'm going to get to. So what you're talking about is, that is shifting. And even, I don't know if you know about shift talk, where people shift to another reality and things like that. So like,
no, I don't think I've ever.
Oh, that was like very during like COVID, there was like so many little kids that were so obsessed with this, and they were going to Harry Potter World and stuff like that. And that basically is I call them cloud realms. And so they were constantly going to those, and they didn't know what was going on, but that also can be a reality, if that makes sense. There's like realities in the cloud realms as well. So they were like going in those realities, and the way cloud realms are set up is so like for example, when Harry Potter's written, it's being, because humans make patchwork quilts when they make something, they're being pulled from all different areas, different things, energies, all these things are being pulled to make this storyline, right? And so that storyline goes in, it's like it goes into a cloud realm, like when humans create stuff. And in that cloud realm, there's the layers of what it has been created with. And when I say layers, I mean like onion layers, like everything in this universe. And so like, let's say you there's a part of Harry Potter that a piece of Harry Potter in the storyline is apart from your energy. When you shift realities, you can shift into that, be Harry Potter. And the reason why it doesn't work always is the thing that people want to do isn't their energy. You have to, when you shape shift as a human, or it's just not shape shift, but just shift, you have to shift into something that's your energy. Right? And so you can't, even if that
matches you, like energies.
It is your energy. So
right, like energies. Right, absolutely.
Yeah, you can't go to ones that are not, because it's complicated. Now,
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Shifting, it's the same rule, but it's within those what I call when they make the vessels. So when they created what they call vessels, or it's a long story. It's going to be on my Patreon. Like, part of it's already there, but there's more. So basically what they do is they create this they steal stuff, like these beings, because they want to be able to, like I said, explode and create things. And when they finally do, it's because they steal some stuff from the potential and blah blah blah, and they rip it, and all this wild stuff happens, and they have all these like planes of existence that are like floating everywhere, and they start creating on these planes, and they are them. So those are the vessel, like the first origin vessels or whatever. Then, so that's the first part I wanted to talk about. Then there's like a thing to there's other things going on. Each of those, they start creating things, so you can think of like these like little floating things all over, and they're really broken and messed up. This kind of the story in Gnosticism, when they talk about how there's like creepy things being made and stuff, it's kind of about that. They were seeing that, but they didn't really understand what that is. So that's what that is. They start making all this stuff, and like I said, I promise I'll make it make more sense like in the Patreon. But basically, you can think of them like little tiny gardens almost, and they do their own thing in all of them, and they start fighting over them and doing all these weird things. And another thing that happens is some of them don't like how limited that area is, so they're trying to get to the Titans, and which the Titans have like made these beautiful gardens that are protected, and actually like nothing's really physical, but it is kind of, and that's why I said there's things that are physical but not physical. I don't know if you know about they call him Adamus, like that. They're getting close to it with that as well. It's I think it's also in Gnosticism text as well. They're getting close to it, but there's not enough information, because they only knew a little bit. But basically that's kind of what's going on there. They're trying to get there all the time. They're trying to get through the potential to get there. And there's a lot of drama that happens with that, but they start trying to steal stuff as well. And I think one of the if we want to humanize it, one of the children of those titans was like interested in trying stuff out, so they go there and they get like messed up because of they didn't think it was going to be so messed up when they go into the vessels or whatever. So there's all these stories going on like that, right? So that's a mess. You can see that these energies are just making stuff, they're being weird or whatever, but then they like what's going on and they want to be in them, and they can go in them because it is them, so they go inside and they go all the time. So from our perspective, we're thinking in time and we're like, oh, in the past he's here, in the past he's there. For them, all of those all exist at once,
Right.
so that's them. So like, for example, let's say there's a random guy, and then there's Trump, and then there's another girl that's here, and another all over the place. That's all them. That's all them in that little thing, and they will be able to go in all those things if they want to. Now, the way that they actually can stay long or get up to trouble is when humans do creepy ritual things.
Wait. So the reason that it can go from one to the next is because they're all different versions of each other, right?
Themselves. So it's like imagine
right.
you're the main vessel, and then there's
Right.
tiny ones inside you, and you can just go in all of them. You can create new ones, and you can do all kinds of stuff, and you can go into them anytime you want. You can jump into them.
Right. And
yours.
I'm totally
That's
putting the puzzle pieces together right now, and it's all making sense to me now.
That's
but different. But what makes what is alike in them? Is it their soul frequency? Because
it's like right now, it's like me jumping into my eye and taking over my eye. Me as whole me going into my eye.
But what is alike? What is alike between these individuals that allows these energies to go into them?
They're in the same one. That's why. Does that make sense?
No, but there has to be something about the physical body that lets that energy go into that body, and not a body that isn't a match.
It's complicated because the body is actually a part of nature. It's a nature layer, and what I'm talking about is the vessel layer. So it's the field layer. So everybody comes. It's like everyone comes into a mother field, and it depends on what life you live. You can eventually get out of there and have an independent field, and the field is different because some fields are these fields. They're those vessel fields. So like, let's just make it easy. So let's say it is, I don't know, we'll just make it fun. Archangel Michael, like here's Archangel Michael, and you basically go into that like one, right? Let's say it's not Archangel Michael, but we'll just say you go into Archangel Michael because you're a baby energy and you want to go in there. But you have to usually, if you're a baby energy, usually you're the same energy. So you go into that and you either break free, like I said, you get so big that you expand outside, or you just use that template for yourself. My energy invented a dissolvable one, where it's your own self and you come together, and you have a mother one that's independent already, and you're independent, but you have a mother one to protect you until you dissolve it. So that's something my energy invented and brought here into my existence. Like, it's one of the inventions. But before that, the only choices are these vessels or the mixture of vessels. So this is like, they can be, I don't know, it could be anything. Like, so it could be one of those mixed with another one, and then they cluster together. So it's like you make your own. And I'm going to talk about what that is in a second, because we're just talking about that's another one. So all humans have the same kind of interface thing, but they don't have the same of that, if that makes sense. Like everyone has different things going on with that vessel thing. So vessels are not the body. The body has to do with nature and what humans have like collaborated with nature, like when they find each other and do things. So there's like all layers happening at once. Does that make sense? So the body is different than.
So where does the ego fit into all this in these vessels?
To me, ego is the record keeper. So it's what you build and how you're capable of building your your stuff. So it's like, for example, if you decide to like chocolate ice cream and then later you hate ice cream completely, to me that would be like an ego experience. And then if you're having an ego experience where you're mad at something or a trauma happens, that's also an ego. So it's like a library kind of. And then you are having that, you're not having those experiences because you're mixing how your life is and what you live mixed with your what do you call it, your origins. So you're like, your ego is like picking from the two, like, I mean, not two, sorry, picking from the different parts. And some people didn't have a lifestyle that helps them do that, or some people do. Some people, it's their brain that changes it. Some people, it's not. Sometimes it's the chemistry. Sometimes it's those creepy fallen things making it so that you are obsessed with their story and not where you all come from. All that stuff keeps happening. So it's very vast of how someone's ego is put together. But to make it simple, I just say it's like a record keeper of what you're capable of and what you do throughout your life. So Nicole, me, from now, since I was born, all of that stuff, whatever I chose to pick from what I stream as a being, and then also my life experience. So like, let's say someone hits me in the face, the way I respond and do those things, it's going to be a mixture of all the things I did and what I'm doing right now and what happened mixed with my, all my origins, like the origins that I decide to pull from. And then there's also like when you're born as well, because like when you're born, it's a bit different. That's why sometimes when people do astrology, I'm like, oh no, because it's different for everybody. If someone's native to here, like if they're from one of these stories that happened in this universe, it might be okay to kind of get into the astrology stuff. But I think people who are like from many different things or not, they're going to get very confused, if that makes sense, because it's going to be complicated for them because it's limiting them, But that's how I see ego. I don't know if that resonates with how you see ego.
It's like, a small fraction of what I believe the ego to be. It's like one file in a filing cabinet. That's the same. I'm not really sure what to say because I'm not sure what to say right now.
Okay.
Because okay. I have a completely different understanding of what the ego is.
I think it also might be that it's just the word, because if you think about it, it comes from like Freud anyway. So
the word doesn't hang me up on in any way.
No, I mean,
I've already gotten past that.
Maybe it's like something like you have like a whole. It's not just like a word. It's like yours is a whole thing. Like it's like a big, like vast, like
it's a personality. Your ego is a personality inside of you. It's one of your consciousnesses. It's you have the subconscious and the conscious awareness. It's one of those. So it's literally half of who you are as a human, and it's what makes you human. The ego is all of the physical parts of you are the ego, are tied to the ego. The pineal gland is the ego. The ego also can be, you can talk to your ego and the ego will talk back to you. It's literally a different personality inside of you.
That's what I was saying that too.
And the ego can be, I don't want to say trained, but for lack of a better word, you can train your ego to be however you want it to be with, nice, polite talking and sound logic. This has just been my experience. And so I always have not liked the term vessel because, vessel is the physical part of us.
It's not good. It's the way that the fallen see us. I don't like it either. It makes me go on a gag. I'm saying it because that's what it is. That's what they say. So when they say vessel, or they call them dolls, even it's gross. I don't like
that because our vessel is our ego. You wouldn't be here without your ego. You could be here without your soul half, but you can't be here without your ego. So it's almost arguably the most important part of the human experience is the ego. I agree what you say, how you bring it from childhood, because your ego doesn't change. Your ego is your ego. You have, like, when somebody has a near-death experience and their soul leaves their body and they develop a new soul, you still have the same ego. It's something that doesn't change throughout your life. So you do bring what you are as a child into your adult life, as you say. I do agree with that, but again, that can be trained out of the ego. Once you have awareness of your ego and that it is another personality that you can talk to and work with, you can do really amazing things with yourself, and who you are. So my version of the ego is much larger than your version of the ego, but it's the same, basically, essentially.
To me, I see it as like when you talk about it, you talk about a lot of different things. Like you talk about the field, and you also talk about what do you call it? I'm having a blank, but you talk about a lot of different things in it, if that makes sense. Like I said, yours is like you have a lot of the things that are going on. Like, for example, like I said, like the when if something happens, like a trauma, and someone, like I call it, like, basically chopping you into pieces, and you go into like all these pieces and you fragment, that would be like your ego would be like kind of all over the place. And then if you're like chatting with someone, because you haven't because you were saying control, I call it befriending and making friends with them and growing them. If you don't
your ego
have them, so I think of the ego
I don't mean control. If I said control, that's not what I'm. It's the opposite of.
Yeah, no, I know.
Training.
No, you said something. Training. Yeah, training.
Training. My ego agrees that she would call it training. So I guess it's based on the person's ego. If the ego would be okay with it being called that, it would be individual. It would be based on the individual.
Basically when I'm doing like sessions and stuff, I help people like in different processes get to know those parts, because like, for example, if you can't make a decision, it's not because you can't make a decision, it's because there's parts of you that are not able to be at the table with you. Like, you're not making decisions with all those parts, and it's because they're a bit immature. So like, let's say they got like ignored or cut off because of a trauma when you were a kid and you didn't get to speak up or something like that. When you get to know those and you know those parts of you, they become like an asset. They become like your guardians, because they can sit at that table and tell you, normally we get upset about this, but you don't have to feel upset about this. This is my input, instead of them being like, fuck you or something to someone, right? Like, so it's like, instead of them taking the wheel for you because you ignore them all the time and they just come out, you now are friends with them. So that's kind of like, for me, that's a part of working on that. But I would say, I would describe it, because each time it comes up in a session, I wouldn't call it the ego, because a lot of people are weird and mean about the ego. So I try to, like, all the things I do with people about those parts, I have different names and things to do with them, because and then I tell them it's all the ego. So like, when I really dislike when someone, I bet you hate it too, when someone says, oh, they're just doing that with their ego. I hate that so much, because it means that there's a part of that person that is saying that, it means there's a part of them that is like hurt and never been heard, and they're letting that take the wheel, instead of every part of them coming together and being whole. And to me, I feel like that person's in pain, and like, even if they're being aggressive, you shouldn't have to like deal with them, but to call it that is not nice. You know what I mean? Like, if we say, oh, they have such a bad
I really don't care what people say to each other. I don't really care about people these days. I have learned to not give a fuck, and that's how I keep my energy intact.
I care because attacks, like, I know that is adding to the collective crap and making our dimension disgusting. So
Oh,
I
okay.
take it, I
Okay,
don't
well,
take it personally, but
that's a
I
different
am like
perspective.
I'm a warrior in this sense. This is something I'm battling, which is the battle of the realities. I want our realities to be so that everyone it knows that what they say, think, and do, it matters. Every single person matters. They matter in that way. And so it matters when they're being gross and it matters when they're being beautiful. It does not matter. They're all matters. And those people being gross, 100% of the time it's because they're fragmented and either they are doing that thing I just talked about where the part of their a wounded part of their ego comes out of the pack and starts going like that, or they're being used. Because if you're in pieces, how are you going to be aware of which piece is being used? So you either are doing it yourself, where there's this part that never gets to be heard and it starts shouting at people, or how can you keep track of all the pieces of you everywhere? Your ego's in like fragments everywhere. So of course you could be used from a collective, you can be used by those fallen, you could be used by aliens, all that stuff. The fallen people, it's only the people who are a part of that field. And it's a problem that, again, like I'm working on it, so don't worry. But that is one
I'm not. I don't worry about anything besides like, my bills.
Yeah, but
but as
your
far as like,
lifestyle experience, like, wouldn't you love if like everyone starts sharing the coolest stuff and we get to do like cool things and stuff in this dimension? That is why I take, like, I see every little piece and scrap adds to that, or
I mean,
makes
I
it
really
dirty.
don't care. I'm going to pave a way no matter what the world around me looks like. So I don't know. I used to carry hope and faith in that kind of stuff happening eventually.
I don't have that.
I don't anymore.
I do not have hope, and what I'm doing, it might look like that. I do not have hope. I do
No,
not.
you're in the moment. You're not thinking about the future. I can tell you're in the moment.
No. I have drive. I don't have a choice. I could be crying and people are being so mean to me, and all the parts of me are like dying inside, but I will still do this. People could cut me up and I'll still do this. It's a drive and I can't help it. It's like,
oh no, see, I don't have that drive. No, I retreat.
So I do not have hope. I am very upset. I see everything.
You've frozen. Are you there? We've lost her.
Oh, was the internet working?
There we are. I see you now. Can you hear me?
They didn't like that. Are you there?
Yeah. So yeah, I also understand things like that as well. What you just said. Yeah.
Wait, did the internet go down for you?
No, my internet never stopped.
Oh, I wrote LOL because it went completely gone. It went black completely, my screen. They were not happy with what I just said.
Oh, you did write LOL. I didn't have the chat open.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
For at least 2 minutes, it was completely, the screen was black.
So maybe they don't want anything or anybody to know what your buttons are, basically. How to taunt you, maybe.
No, it's more like I'm saying my like wounded parts. Like I'm saying that and sharing that instead of just working through it like on my own. Like that, like clearly I have an issue with. So it's not that someone can do anything to me. It's that I personally, I'm making myself miserable by saying that out loud, and sharing that with other people and triggering other people to feel that way as well. They're always on top of that, so that's probably what it is. But anyway.
Well, right now you look like you look like an oil painting.
Oh, thank you.
Do you see what the screen looks like? That you look warped right now. That your face is messed
up.
No. Well, you'll see the recording. I'll show you the recording. You look like an oil painting.
Oh no!
And now it's frozen, and you're stuck in smile mode as an oil painting. There we go. Now I got you back, but you're still an oil painting.
Oh my
Everybody
God.
watching is probably laughing their asses off right now, thinking, "Oh my God, she does look like an oil painting."
It's wild.
Let's talk about something different, shall we?
So I'll finish the attack thing. So that attack is basically, if you are in one of those, like if you're in a vessel like that and your vessel wasn't made in that sense, so it's like it's a field. So instead of it being like a mother field, it is a vessel, and so they have fair game and they can bug you. If you are who I am, I don't get a choice. I get everyone bugging me. So they will come and make jokes that are specifically detailed to me to put me in my place. And they do this when they're annoyed with how they're being perceived. If I'm getting close to something that is going to stop them from having that fun thing, because basically what I'm doing is going to make it so that people can't do that. I mean, not people, those weirdos. And the reason why they're doing this is because, in like spirituality, when they get all nerdy about saying that, oh, they don't have anything, and so they try to eat it from others. That's what this is kind of. It's not that they're eating stuff, it's that they're delusional. I actually know some humans that are here to heal them, in the sense of living a life where they find out that they can get their own, like they don't need to just keep doing that, because everyone can. It doesn't matter, even if you're blind to it, like these idiots are. And I keep telling them they're idiots because it's stupid. They don't have to do this. They can I know, because
You're frozen again. I just heard a click. I can hear you. I can't see you. Okay, hold on, everybody.
There we go. I'm back.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know if you see me. But yeah,
no. You're still frozen on the screen. On the little bottom screen, you're moving, but you're frozen on the big screen.
Okay. So they don't like this as well. Oh my God, I just saw it. Or yeah, they're not liking this. They're mad. Okay, so we're done with that. It's basically they do it to joke. They do jokes. When you get synchronicities, they're joke synchronicities to put you in your place. Like, you're just a human. So it's like that kind of stuff. And it's dumb, because I'm here to help them. Like, I could help them so that they don't feel annoyed. But they're so annoyed that they don't see it that way. I've been working on it every time they come, and like this one right now, I don't know who this is. They're veiling themselves. They're messing with everything. They were like a little orb, and it's just, that's how it is. Like, they're nonstop. Oh my God, another one. Okay. Now it's becoming black again. Okay, we're finishing that.
Well, everybody, I think I'm going to end this here. There might be a part 2. So check to see if there's a part 2 when you're watching this.